So why is the removal of triggers, which is the focus of a lot of different healing modalities that are out there, the worst thing that you could do for yourself if you truly want to heal and evolve into all that you truly are and all that you were born to be? Hello, my name's Imran. Thank you so much for watching and consuming this content. Please like, comment, share, do whatever you can to help me out with the algorithm and to get this stuff out there if you truly enjoy it, or even if you don't. I am a breakthrough specialist and coach. I have spent the better part and the most part of my life living in ashrams, traveling the world, and having trained with spiritual masters and gurus and NLP practitioners and shaman and healers of all different types of modalities, hypnotists and all sorts of people that I've trained with, worked with, and had as my clients, and blah, 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 blah. If you want to know more, just click on the links and find out, okay? But the point that I wanted to make here is that removing of triggers is the worst possible thing that you can do if you want to heal yourself permanently. So a lot of the different techniques in healing modalities that are out there that are all about tapping, as an example, look, I'm just going to simplify it. Any healing modality that does not involve the emotional body to its fullest degree and have a aspect to it that keeps going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into the rabbit hole, you're never going to be able to heal what you are wanting. And let me explain why. The removal of triggers is nothing more than a temporary form of misdirection. That's all it is. It's a form of misdirection. Okay, so I'm feeling angry right now. I don't want to feel this way. So I'm just going to go tap and I'll remove it. And now I'm going to feel good. What did I accomplish? What do you think that I accomplished doing that? By removing that trigger, I just missed an opportunity to release and feel and let go of the deeper wound and issues inside of my body that were the cause of that anger in the first place. There is nothing worse than removing a trigger. You would be better off to go punch a bag and go for a run and beat out the emotion, right? You got to feel the anger. You've got to embody it. You've got to let it go. Get the journal and go beat up something, break something, take it to the gym with you. See what I'm saying? Why? Because emotion is energy in motion. If it's not moving, it's stagnant. If it's stagnant, it creates blocks. Simple as that. It won't leave your body. So these triggers and these tapping, it will make you feel better, but you will have missed the opportunity to work on yourself and to pull out more of the anger or the emotion or the feeling that was coming up and that was disabling you or making you feel a certain way and preventing you from being able to function optimally. No amount of tapping is ever going to heal what is inside of you. And you will never, ever, ever realize your full potential, ever. I'm not saying it doesn't have uses, because maybe in a particular situation, you don't have the ability to deal with your stuff. And so maybe you might need to tap it out. Okay? But if you are doing the work consistently, the real work consistently, you'll have less triggers in the first place. And they wouldn't be over such menial things as what I see a lot of people tapping over. Now, I happen to be picking on tapping, but it's not limited to tapping. There's a lot of different healing modalities that are all about removing triggers and all about we just dealing with the surface level of the trigger. And on the surface, it is doing something. But wouldn't you rather pull the Band-Aid off and be done with all aspects of that wound and that issue permanently? The source of which goes back to your infancy, with one really, really, really good cry, or one really, really, really real, and I mean real, anger release. You can access 50 to 100 tapping sessions worth of release. Even more. That's what I'm talking about. And that's what I'm talking about. Removing the triggers is no different than taking a pill. It's an avoidance tactic at the end of the day. An avoidance tactic. Because the emotional body is so repressed and so suppressed in today's society, and it's being demonized, and it's completely misunderstood. Let me give you an example, and I've shared this one once or twice before, and it's just a beautiful metaphor for what I'm saying. When I was in India and I was visiting an ashram of a very famous, enlightened, illumined guru, he's got a massive foundation and is very well known all over the world. He wasn't as well known back then. And we were sitting and we were in a darshan, a gathering in his ashram. And there are hundreds of people there from all different walks of life. And it was a Q&A session. And someone put their hands up and they asked him, what is the fastest path to enlightenment, to illumination? And he looked at this individual, laughed, and then he responded with, cry your way to enlightenment. That was it. That was his answer. And there is no better way to put what I'm explaining here about the whole trigger situation. No healing modality, no amount of reprogramming your brain is going to substitute and get at the emotions that are the cause, the trapped emotions, the blocked emotions that you took on throughout your embodiment, throughout your life, that weren't ever expressed and felt, and that were internalized against yourself. No amount of mental work will ever heal it or be a substitute for accessing and feeling the emotions. Now, the good news is that some of these modalities, when you do them enough, they will start bubbling up emotions inside of you It will help dislodge and give some access to the emotions. But it's so slow, and most people will just repress that emotion and compound the problem. Sad but true. The emotional body is the quickest, fastest way to remove any and all aspects of the small self, of the pain and the suffering. You have to feel some of that pain and some of that suffering. You do. But I say, when you get triggered and you have this emotional reaction to something that's going on, milk it for what it's worth. Now, the key here is, in order to be able to milk it for what it's worth, you have to understand some of the higher principles of spirituality, of how the universe really works, of the fact that we're interconnected, the fact that you created it, the fact that it's a gift and a blessing, and that there is a gift and a blessing in everything that we create. Because if you don't have certain foundations in place, it becomes near impossible to really get access to the deeper levels of pain and hatred and the emotions that are locked and blocked inside of you. As a matter of fact, when I lived in the ashram, the whole point of the ashram is to be one massive trigger. Literally triggering. It would be all day. It was like a freaking roller coaster ride. It was all about triggering. It was all about flushing up all the non-love out of your ecosystem and forcing you to have to face it and deal with it. And it was crazy sometimes what we had to go through emotionally that would just come up. And some of it was triggered by just the people that you were living with, or the practices, or the environment and the higher vibrational energies that were there. There's many, many different reasons why it was so triggered. But a big part of it was the mentality, understanding why these triggers were happening. And there was no such thing as repression, because if you tried to repress it, it would get worse. It would be more difficult. It would be painful. And that's what's happening right now on the planet. The more that people try to repress and suppress their emotions, the more that it creates the monkey mind, the more that it creates anxiety, the more that it creates fear, the more that it creates depression, the more that the world goes crazier. And the irony is that this is going to continue and it's going to get worse. Why? Because humanity needs to wake up. We're at the end of an old way of being, which has been fear-based, and we're now moving into a love-based reality. So every structure, every aspect of this planet that is fear-based is crumbling, and it has to crumble, including inside of you. And that's the reason why people are getting sicker. It's the reason why people are getting crazier. It's the reason why, because everyone's holding on, right? Because we've been conditioned to repress and suppress. And if you don't do a good job of repressing and suppressing, then you're either made fun of, that you're emotional, and that you're just a Looney Tune, or you can't, you're emotionally unintelligent. This whole emotional intelligence thing, load of bollocks. It's such a condescending thing to say that someone's emotionally intelligent versus someone not. And I say that because we're starting to create all these labels that are just separating people. Still, that person's just hurt. And that's why they're not able to deal with it. So why not help them rather than label them? right? I want to help people rather than label them. ADHD is not a condition. It's just not. It's just not a condition. You could heal your body too, where there is physiological damage that can actually be healed too. And it's not a negative thing either. It gets really, really complicated. And I'm not a medical doctor, so I don't want people to sort of like, be making all sorts of ridiculous decisions based on what I say. But do your research. Or, if you want my help, hit me up. Hit me up. Come to my events, buy some of my courses and programs. I got coaching, I got all sorts of things going on that you can be a part of. And I'll take it to the nth degree, where very few people will take it, because very few people honestly know about it or even care, because they're so entrapped in the small self, the small story. This reality is shifting and changing. You can amass all the money and all the wealth that you want, but I'm telling you now, it's all going to zero. All going to go to zero if humanity doesn't change. And you know what? That side of humanity is unlikely to change on its own without intervention. And unfortunately, that intervention is going to cause a lot of collateral damage and a lot of chaos and craziness. It's not my fault. It's not God punishing anyone. It's nothing to do with the Bible and Jesus or anything. It's just a cycle of events that have transpired previously. And some of it is absolutely unavoidable. But humanity has a choice. Each individual has a choice as to whether or not you're part of that or not. And I know a lot of very, very good people that are fully immersed in all of that. And they're spiritual, and they're famous, and they're living the life and still teaching decent teachings that are benefiting people. But water seeks its own level. I'm not perfect. I'm a human being, and I'm here to have an experience, to have fun, and to live and experience this paradise, and to give my version of the truth as I've experienced it and as I know it to be true for me. My only job, my only desire is to give you the opportunity to have the same experiences. And what I mean by that is for you to remove all of the clutter inside of you with the help of your higher self, your God self, your divinity, your I am presence, your soul, great spirit, Jesus, whatever labels work for you, so that you can realize the truth for you. So you don't have to believe anything I say. But think of it this way. Going within is the only way to fix what's going on inside of you. Hello? And when you fix what's going on inside of you, everything else around you reflects that. And you can think of it in terms of belief systems. If you believe that every man is a narcissist or every woman is a gold digger, then it's highly likely that you're going to keep manifesting narcissists in your life, or you're going to keep manifesting gold digger women in your life until you break that judgment and or deal with the belief systems that you have that make that into a reality. This is big stuff. This is for people that really want to just pull their pants up and be who they truly are and who they want to be. And stop playing in the small realms, in the lower realms. There are slowly but surely the foundation of everything is falling apart. And people are wanting to stay at that level. You have to face yourself. But the quickest, easiest way, with the least amount of friction, the least amount of craziness, the least amount of slaps in the face from the universe because you're not getting it and you're not seeing it, is by working on the inside with and communicating with your higher self. There is no faster way. It's not even possible. And I'm not talking with psychedelics and all of these other substances that people use. That's not the real work either. It helps and can help certain individuals if they're guided to it for the right reasons, not because they think it's going to give them a shortcut and there's all this ego and vanity associated with it and all of this. I know plenty of psychedelic cosmonauts that are just as, they're spiritual, but what are they really doing? They're dysfunctional in many, many ways. And, maybe that's what they're meant to be doing. But the point is that we're supposed to be doing that and accessing that without any unnecessary stuff. They're all training wheels. They're to give you an experience or to remove some of the clutter so that you can then become fully autonomous and function from what's already inside of you, from what you already are. It's just unrealized. You just don't believe it. So, triggers. Triggers. No. No. Welcome the triggers. Dive into what's been triggered, the emotion of it. In so many ways. But the number one way is to just feel the emotion. Cry if you need to cry. Be angry if you need to release it. And do it with the intention of releasing it. But it has to be real. Give yourself the permission. It's okay to feel like you want to kill someone. It's actually okay. What is not okay is to go kill someone. What is not okay is to attack people. But when you're doing it from a healing place, from a feeling place, from a letting go place, the universe inherently protects that individual from that energy. So you're not actually sending anything towards them. You're just getting the non-love, the poison out of you. That's all you're doing. It's noble. It's the highest. And the more that you do that, the faster your life just transforms, like OMG status. Like OMG. You want to burn off lifetimes of karma and move through lifetimes of wounds and issues? That's how you do it. Lifetimes. You can then bypass the acceleration that's happening in the planet and be steps ahead of the rest of the planet rather than being pushed into submission, which is what is happening to all of humanity. Instead, you can be there and say, hey, I can help you with that. I can show you a better way. So that's how you remove triggers. Never, ever, 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 ever suppress or repress any part of your body, or try to sidestep what's going on inside of you. There's just no need. There's no need to deflect. Instead, pull up your pants and face it head on. See the difference? So when I use these different simple analogies, start really sort of saying, you know what, this whole removing the triggers, tapping, I'm just trying to sidestep my emotions. I'm just trying to say, you know what, just, I don't want to feel that right now. I don't want to feel it. And so you just sort of sweep it under the rug, but you're just sweeping it under the rug. It's still there. And that's the reason why people keep having to do all these things over and over and over and over again. And then 20 years later, example, right? 20 years later, you realize, oh shit, I wasted so much time. I could have been, well, I am on top of the world. I am on top of the world, but I could have been in a very different place sooner. But it was perfect, right? Because had I have been able to have made those choices, I would have. See, can't even judge yourself. Why judge yourself? If you would have been able to do something differently, you would have, because you didn't face the consequences. Simple. Because then you can move forward in lightning fast, because then the past isn't holding on to you and pulling you back, and you're not like, you know. So anyway, that was my removing triggers video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And please like, subscribe, do whatever you can to help the algorithm, etc., etc., etc. Come to any of my events, sign up for any of my courses and programs. If you want coaching from me, then hit me up. All that fun stuff. God bless you. Thank you. And let's do this. Let's do it.